the two philosophy. This is basically a two-pronged attack. You have to argue with socialism against socialism, and you have to argue against altruism. And if you target the one, they will Morton Bailey to the other. So if, for example, you say, well, the rich are productive and they produce a lot, and we need them in our economy, and not to flee the country into tax havens, and they'll say, well, you just hate the poor. And if you argue about we need better ways of helping the poor, and we need better welfare systems, even just like on a neoliberal kind of argument, they'll say you just love the rich. So it's a very entrenched and two-pronged attack position to just socialism or just altruism. It keeps moving, and it's difficult to pinpoint an attack. And in addition to that, I'm sure you encounter a lot of situations where people think you're a bad person, and they don't want to deal with you anymore. And you can see that, with social justice warriors. And I think this comes from this dynamic where you have these two philosophies. And by the way, I think the socialism element, it's the dialectical lens where you have a lens of how you see the world, and you see the world where the rich have power, they control society, they control the government, and every problem that you can think of through this lens, the rich are to blame. And then you have at the bottom, you have altruism, which is the ethic that says the poor. It's not right that the poor are poor. We should help them. That it's a bad thing. So, in this sort of situation, with this like epistemological lens and an ethical from socialism and an ethical ethics from altruism, it's like a sort of two-prong attack, but it's much sharper, and it's more emotional to deal with. I'll give an example. If it was just the case of helping the poor, then religious people have done that. You help the poor, that's fine. If it was just the case of socialism, and let's just take an example. It's not a one-to-one example, but just bear with me. Let's say that socialists are conspiracy theorists against the rich, but let's take conspiracy theorists in general. Conspiracy theorists are not like they're not a social justice warrior. They're not emotional. They don't see other people as evil outright. They're like, well, I think the Earth is flat, and NASA was lying to us, but they're not like emotionally activated in a sense. They're just like, well, I have this quirky view, and I think people are lying, but I'm not gonna, run riots in the street and protest against NASA or anything like that. But when you connect the two, you sort of get like a psychological effect, which I think it's called de-individuation. But I just want to read. So this is more psychology. I just want to read out something I got off the internet. Hold on. When someone feels that their sense of justice, and justice I mean here, in this particular example, the rich people can help the poor. It's unjust that they're not. So if you feel that your sense of justice has been violated, it can cause a strong emotional response. This is because justice is closely tied to our values and beliefs about what is right and wrong. And when these values are threatened, it can lead to feelings of anger, frustration, and even outrage. Now, I personally think that if someone gets angry a lot, the sense of the value of justice has been violated, I feel like now they're activated, and now they see the world as black and white. Those in power run the world. Everything that's wrong is because of them. And I see all these poor people, and that's wrong. That's not the way it should be. And now you're activated, and you're a sort of social justice warrior. And you can apply it to other mechanisms, like you can say feminism. Those in power are the patriarchy, are the men. You just see the world like that. Every bit of new data or information goes through your lens, and your sense of justice has been violated. Similarly to racism, those in power of a particular race and those not in power, but it's not fair. We need to fix it. We need to take the power away from those who have power. We need to equally distribute it. Same for colonialism with Western values and all that kind of jazz that you hear now and day on television. I feel this is the origin of it. So you have basically two philosophies that you're fighting against. One is more epistemological, one is ethical, and that's what I was able to come up with on my research.